Welcome to Northbound, Alaska, the Trucking Files, a podcast where we talk to haul road drivers, both past and present, to carry on the knowledge and experience of one of the toughest roads on Earth. On this episode, we sit down with Todd Powers. Todd has over 25 years of experience on the haul road and over 2 million miles.
I feel good. I feel really good. Cheers.
You're great. You're really great.
You're a great American.
We're here with Todd Powers. Todd,
Yes,
this is
sir.
the Power Hour.
This is the Power Hour.
Episode 1.
I feel like this hour's has already been derated.
So, Todd, were you born in Alaska or were you born somewhere else?
I was born in Livingston, Montana. I moved up here with my mom and dad, 1985, I believe. My dad had a logging company based out of Livingston, Montana, F Troop Logging, and logging got really, really rough about 82, 83, and a guy named Ted Buck used to run Frontier Transportation. My dad, they had mutual friends. He talked my dad into coming up in the winters when there was no logging. He did that for 2 years, and then he came home and he told my mom, he said, "We're moving to Alaska." And we were broke. We had a bunch of logging equipment. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, so loaded everything up, 2 pickups and a trailer, and to Alaska we headed. It felt like forever.
Do you remember that trip?
Oh yeah, I remember that trip very well.
Was it the summer, the winter, or fall when you
Summer.
came?
It was summer of 85. And I remember coming up. It was a long trip. My dad, I think me and my dog drove my dad completely insane. I got food poisoning at Pink Mountain Lodge. And I remember I could not take a bath because my mom's like, "Go take a bath." I turned the water on, and it's basketball orange. I'm like, I can't do that. So we had to take a shower. But yeah, it seemed like that trip took 3 months, but I bet it took like a week. You know, I remember a lot of flat tires. That's the only thing I remember about that. I remember everybody left to go to the nearest town. It was like Fort St. John. They left me, my brother, and my dog with a trailer with 3 flat tires. But yeah, and then I had to come to Fairbanks, and yep, I think I did kindergarten again. And then the traumatic summer, my first summer in Fairbanks, it's traumatic. I haven't got over it yet. Dairy Queen blew up.
Oh, man. That's a sore spot with me, too.
Oh, it was terrible. I lived within walking distance. And my 5-year-old little butt I would hike with change in my pocket to go get my ice cream cone.
You don't remember that, do you?
So was that it's Oasis now, right? Was that the original Dairy Queen?
There was another one over there by airport.
Yep. Yeah, over there, right across the street from the old Chevron.
Yeah, there was 2 of them.
Yep.
Okay.
And the one blew up. We lived in the townhouse apartments, which is just right there across the street from what used to be the Maranatha, which that was cool because it had the awesomest arcade.
I vaguely remember that.
But yeah, I remember that it shook our house. It shook our apartment building when it blew up.
So what was that, like a propane or gas leak, or what? Did they know what happened?
Insurance job. I don't know.
I think you're both right.
But yeah.
Oh, so you were sad about that. No more Dairy Queen.
I was
for you.
That was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life. No more ice cream within walking distance.
We used to drive from North Pole to go into Dairy Queen. Man, I love that place.
I went from walking to Dairy Queen to having to beg my parents to get a ride to Dairy Queen. Then they were controlling my ice cream intake.
Oh, don't you hate that?
It's terrible. But yeah, no, my dad worked for Frontier Transportation, and man, that was the coolest playground I've ever seen in my life. I was pretty much allowed to just, when my dad was in town, I'd go to the yard and I'd just run that yard.
So was your dad driving truck up the haul road at that time? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was driving for Frontier. I remember his dispatcher. That guy, I thought he was the most amazing person in the world. Old Big John Bivens. Hey, bud, you want a candy? Get in here and get a load. Which years later, he ended up being my dispatcher at Carlisle when I first started.
So did he just have like a candy jar set up?
No, his bottom drawer, no kidding, was full of candy.
Just like candy bars, Reese's, and Snickers and stuff like that, Twix?
A lot of the cheap candy, butterscotch, the weird little fruit-filled hard candies.
Like little strawberry ones and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the ones your grandma kept around.
Yeah. That's funny. It's true.
But, and I pretty much, my parents were very cheap. They didn't believe in babysitters, especially in the summer. So I spent a lot of my childhood until about 92 in the passenger seat of a Frontier truck. And I was talking to a good friend of mine last night Brett Barkoff, he also, grew up around Frontier. And it's I don't even understand how, but I can remember the truck numbers from my dad's Frontier trucks, because he had 3 Frontier trucks in the time he worked there. It was 458 was a 359 Peterbilt. 459 was a 379 Peterbilt. They had ordered 4 or 5 of these completely perfectly matched heavy haul 379 Pete's with 4 1/4s, 15 speeds, and brownies. And just so they could pin them, they used to pin them together with A-frames to move these mods. And usually they used Abe Omar as their main truck, and then the company trucks would pin either in front or behind and drag him up the hill. And then the last truck he had was a brand new a T800. It was a 459. That was the one that George Grover's load of pipe hit my dad. They're coming down 14 Mile on the Elliott, which that was the end of him trucking.
That was the end of your dad trucking? Or?
Yeah. He tried, but he just didn't have the heart in it.
So what happened? He just come across the line and hit your dad, or what?
No, it was a load of 20-inch heavy wall pipe. Really, inch and a half thick wall. Well, the dunnage had collapsed in the back. Thank God it was the back. Had collapsed, and they were meeting each other, and it was 7, 8 o'clock at night in the winter. And my dad, they couldn't see it. George really, I don't think, noticed it. And the pipe had fanned out, and it just smacked that truck and knocked it up over a snow berm down, truck and bulker down in the ditch. But yeah, it was
That's a scary deal.
pretty violent. And I still, to this day, I mean, it impacted me. I mean, I always think about that. I always look at other people's straps when I'm meeting them because of that.
Were you with him at that time?
No, I was not. Okay. I was at home. It was wintertime during the week, so I wasn't. That was weekends, school breaks, and summer I spent, that truck was my domain.
It's scary. I've met trucks in the corners and the taps before, and that pipe's kind of start rolling a little bit toward you. It's like, man, they think their straps are tight. It's like, man, it's not tight. If that thing's moving at all, it's loose.
I tell you, that's terrifying is when you see loose straps on a load of pipe, or you're going down the road and you start seeing those orange little pipe chocks.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, where is the catastrophe going to happen?
And then you see a 4x4 or a 2x4.
A busted strap laying in the road, and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And that strap, I mean, that pipe's no joke. It's, it's thousands of pounds a stick. it'll do you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple guys that got killed from loading pipe or unloading pipe, but kind of a scary deal.
Oh, Joe White got him in the pipe yard.
Yeah.
So, what was your first memory of going up the haul road? What do you remember seeing? What's vivid in there?
Oh, man. I remember, like, my first memory is, like, I remember when Dick Mackey gave me my own coffee cup. I thought that was huge. I was probably 6, 7 years old. They used to, at Colfa, everybody had their own coffee cup.
And they used to have them hung up there, didn't they?
Yeah. And Dick Mackey gave me my own coffee cup. But I remember sitting there, and it's sitting there at the trucker's table was more forward from where it is now. Where the trucker's table is now is actually the post office. Was the post office. But I remember sitting there at a table with all these guys, and I'm just wide-eyed and just watching. I mean, they just amazed me, all these guys, you know. I thought they were gods back then, you know. I thought, these guys are awesome. And I'm like, I don't know now. But it's one of my fondest memories is they were moving a lowboy load, and something broke. I can't remember if there was a drive line on one of the trucks, but they were all stuck around Happy Man. And my dad, they were there a second day, and he's like, I got to get you back to town. And he handed me through the window to another driver. Go south with him. But I remember the guy saying, told my dad, years later, he told my dad, he goes, that kid just stared at me, wouldn't say nothing. Finally, about live and good, I looked at him, I go, hey man, you got any snacks? Because we've been there for a couple days, and I didn't want to eat my dad's canned sardines, and we'd run out of Oreos the first day, so I was getting a little hungry.
So that mug that Dick Mackey gave you, was it a plain mug, or do you remember what it had on it?
I want to say it just had the old Coldfoot.
Was it white or blue?
It was blue. Yep.
My uncle still has. He's got a white one and a blue one.
Oh, really?
From back then, he still has them.
Yep. Yeah, I still have mine. It's in Montana. Yeah, it's it's the only coffee cup I'm protective of. You don't wash it. It doesn't get, just gets rinsed out, doesn't get washed. You don't put anything but coffee in it.
You had one like that for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a Chevron coffee cup, but my sister-in-law threw it away.
Oh, no.
She hasn't admitted to it. But.
Yeah, I remember my dad tell me, I don't even know if he's bringing it up, but yeah, statute of limitations is gone. We rolling into Prudhoe, and he goes, get in that sleeper closet and don't move. So we go through security, and they didn't really search the trucks back then, but my dad was sitting there talking to, I think it was Arco security back then. He's talking to the security guard, and they knew each other. My dad looks over the guy's shoulder, and I don't know what I was doing, but he said he could just see the antennas on the truck going like this. And he's like, I'm going to kill him. But
it was pretty cool. There's that one security guard going over to MCC. He knew I was with Dad all the time, and he just said, until you're 15, just don't get out of the truck. Just stay in the truck.
Yep. That's what we finally got told was just don't get out of the truck. I mean, once we got out to Frontier Pad, it was because their camp was out there, and that was their world. So
yeah.
And the cooks all knew me. I'd come in, and they'd make something for me in the morning for breakfast because I didn't like eating. I was kind of a picky eater back then, and yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember Dad. We were unloading at MCC, unloading groceries, and Dad was unloading. And the cook come and got me, and he's like, "Come on, I'm gonna go make you some breakfast." So he showed me the buffet line, and man, I was probably like 11 or 12 or something. But he's like, "I'll cook you anything you want to eat." And it's like, "I'll just have some of that." I was scared, but just a little kid out there eating breakfast out there by myself. And it's like, man, I remember Dad finally coming and got me, and away we went. But
Yeah.
Wow.
Fun times as kids.
Yeah.
Guess time to grow up.
So Todd, you grew up on this road kind of like we did in a way. I mean, Aaron was up there a little more than I was, but I was up there my fair share of times where, you're hiding in the truck and you're like, man, I really got to use the restroom, but I'm not supposed to be up here. But it's like Dad came and got me and brought me in, and the cooks are like, oh yeah, come on in, the bathroom's back there, But,
Yeah, that's how Frontier Camp was. It was, yeah. I remember sitting there just holding it, because stay in the truck, don't move.
I don't know why that makes me think of your dad. I got my first level 1 inspection from him.
Oh, you too?
He was in the scale, and it was like, yeah, he's going to teach me a lesson. He knew exactly who I was.
Yeah.
So did your dad went to the scale was it after that incident, or when did that happen?
Yeah, he went to work for we went to work for Airport Rentals for a little bit, working in town for them, and then he got an opportunity to go to work for the state of Alaska, and he pretty much stayed there until he retired and became my pilot car.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that was my first level 1 was with my dad. My worst level 1 was with my dad. My only out of service was my dad, and it was terrible. I hated it. So not only would I'd go in there and I'd be messed up, or I'd be overweight, or just stupid stuff, being a dumb kid and doing something dumb. Not only so my dad at the scale, he wouldn't really say much to me, but he'd give you, you knew he was disappointed. He'd write me a ticket. I never got any slack. I got a ticket faster than anyone else did. But then he would call Norman. I was working for Norman Croson at the time. He'd call Norman and tell him what I did. And so then Norman he would yell at me from time to time. And that wasn't bad. I could stand being yelled at. It was Norman did this. He'd look at you and just, and that hurt worse than being yelled at. But and then the next weekend, I'm sure my mom was a conspirator in this. She'd, why don't you come over for dinner this weekend? Blah, blah, blah. So I'd go over for dinner. I'd walk in and my dad would light into me. He wasn't done talking about that violation. But And I think a lot of that was he didn't want anyone to ever think that he was pulling favorites.
Yeah.
So, but he also, he was out of the trucking game by the time I started trucking. He was at the scale. But he gave every one of his friends the green light to knock me around, to chew my butt, slap me around if I was stepping out of line.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure every one of them I've had my butt chewed up one side and down the other for being dumb when I was younger, when I first started. But at the same time, I didn't dare mouth back off to those men.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful for it. Sometimes they weren't very nice to me, but I appreciate it now. I look back and it probably saved my life a few times. It's taught me a lot. It saved me money for sure and a lot of heartache. It made me who I am. It set the pace for how I was going to conduct myself. And those guys, even though they were ornery, and they were mean at times, they were only doing it because they wanted us to be better.
Yeah.
And I think any of us second generation that can say the same thing. That I know I've had your dad yell at me.
Me too.
Slow that thing down.
Rocks are just a flying.
Yeah.
So did your dad ever let you drive when you were a young kid up there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or steer the steering wheel on his lap or whatever?
So he used to, it was any time of year, he hauled a lot of Wintertime, he hauled a lot of cement into Halliburton. We'd be coming out. We get around the airport, out where Bryce is now, and he'd set that hand throttle on that 4 1/4, and he'd slide back between the seats and get over. So I'd slide over and push the hand throttle back in, and
just like that.
I mean, those Peterbilts, that steering wheel was like, it felt like you're just.
Because there's no power steering back then, right?
Yeah. That first one didn't. That Kenworth didn't. And then the 359 was a little better, but it didn't get nice until you got that 379. And but I remember one time my dad was sick. Oh, he was so sick. And my mom had taken me out of school, sent me with him because he got to go, got to make money. That winter was slow. It was I can't remember what winter it was, but it was a slow winter. So you didn't turn down a trip. And it actually, yeah, it was the winter when everybody left. We got laid off and left.
Like an 87?
Huh?
Like an 87?
It was like 87 or 88. It was, Brett and I were talking about last night. It was the year that Custer left Frontier and went to Alaska Explosives. Or Alaska Powder. Anyways, so Dad didn't dare turn the trip down. And I don't know, because I want to say I was like 10 years old. And I didn't want to wake. My dad was finally sleeping. He wasn't coughing. And so I just kept going. And I knew how to drive the truck. I was notorious for joyriding the Frontier trucks around Frontier. But I'm driving along, and I stop. I go down all the way to the ice cut, and usually it was 62 mile. You stopped. I went all the way to the ice cut, and I'm like, well, this don't look bad. And I remember dropping off of that, and it was terrifying. But I stopped, and the old man, I thought he was going to kill me right there in the middle of the road. But
You stopped at the bottom after you got through there?
yeah, I got halfway across the stretch. Yeah, I stopped, and because I heard him back there waking up, and I'm like, ooh. Stop. Maybe he won't notice.
Is this 62 mile?
Like, maybe he won't notice where we are. It looks the same. Yeah, he was so mad, but I think secretly he was relieved because he got a good nap in.
Yeah.
That makes me think of, I remember coming off 5 Mile with Dad as a kid there, and I just remember him holding it back. I was like, why are we going so slow? And he just idling down there. And I remember one of my first trips, and I got down to the bench, and it's like I cut her loose, and after I cut her loose and realized how steep that actually was, I was like, that's why Dad was holding it back.
Right?
I will not do that again.
Yeah, I did that. I never understood it. Why do these guys hold back so much? Clear into, like, must have been 19. I was driving a day cab Kenworth for Jim Huffman. And, I mean, I really appreciate everything that they did. All these guys that gave me, if I mention the guy, it's prop him up. Because he gave me an opportunity when no one else would.
Yeah.
And that truck, I thought that was a show truck. I thought it was the most beautiful truck in the world. It was a 1969 Kenworth A model with a 400 big cam and a 15 double over with Alice Chalmers suspension. But I did the same thing with a side dump with tires in it. So it wasn't heavy. But I cut it loose. Woo! That suspension has no give. So it gets to a point where it's just the truck's just, you can feel it. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, I never cut it loose again.
Oh, man. And that was at 5 Mile? Or what
Yeah,
was that?
that was 5 Mile right there at the bench.
Yeah.
Yep. Just got through the corners, got down to the bench, and let her go.
Oh, man.
Nope. But
Oh, man.
So when you were young and you were a kid, did you think, man, I want to drive truck when I get older? What was your what did you want to be when you grew up? Or you're still growing up, right?
right. I mean, yeah, I was like every other little kid. I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to be a police officer. But I kept always said I was ridiculously addicted to trucks. Even when before we moved up here, I was a little kid. My parents gave up putting clothes on me. They bought these like 4 pairs of coveralls that were my size, little midget size coveralls, and they'd put me in those coveralls, and I'd just be out there walking around the log trucks, they're like, you would walk up and down them all day inspecting them, and it never ended. Like, I always knew somewhere that I was going to drive truck. I mean, I started working for Carlisle when I was 14. I started sweeping the shop, and then sweeping the shop, washing trucks. And then I went to, trailer mechanic, and then doing services on the trucks. And then I ran Carlisle's yard when I was 18. Then I left to go side dumping because I got an opportunity to go do some side dump work. And then after that project, I wanted to go north. No one sent me north that first winter. And finally, Norm Croson called me. Dudley, I got an empty truck. You want to follow us to Prudhoe? And I remember, I thought, yeah. Because Norm, I don't know what it was about Norm Croson. From the time I ever met that guy. And we moved to North Pole when I was in 7th grade. And I went to school with his daughters. And I'd end up being a science lab partner with one of the girls. And so I went over to their house to, and I had seen Norman around, on the road. I went over to their house to work on that science project. And I remember just like, this guy is amazing. Like, I bet he could beat up Batman. But, and then, when I went to work for him, it was, I was like, yes, I've made it.
How'd you guys do in that science project?
We got a really good grade because she was smart and I wasn't. And if I remember right, Norman's wife, Cindy, did most of the work for us.
Well, good deal.
Oh, man.
So he took you up with an empty truck. He had an empty truck for you.
Yeah,
He wanted you to drive.
I can't remember. Someone had quit, and we went up on a rock job. We were hauling rock from 261 pit. Hauling rock from 261 pit out by the Parrick River bridges, and I remember that was awesome. And then Aaron probably remember. I think Aaron was there for my first time with 72,000 pounds of pipe on a 4-axle.
Is this a Mackie story?
Yeah. So I had just got this new truck. Well, it wasn't a brand new truck, but Norman had just completely rebuilt this truck. Probably had 30,000 miles on it. A guy had flopped it over on 28 mile, one of Rogi's drivers. And I just got this truck. I thought that green truck was it was the most amazing truck. It was almost new, and I was like 19 or 20 years old. And it was a really nice truck. First load of pipe up. I get right to the top of Mackie. I mean, my steer tires are on top of the hill. And she burned out. Well, I didn't know to set my brakes or yank my squaw handle down. I jump out, truck holds. Jump out, throw a set of chains over the driver's side tires, run around the passenger side.
You set the tractor brake at least? Or?
Yeah, I set the tractor brake, but no trailer brakes were on. Run around the other side, throw the chains on the passenger side, and I'm coming back around the truck, and I'm staring at that big W. And I hear this loud pop sound. And as soon as I hear that pop sound, the truck takes off.
Oh, man.
And I freak out. So I take off running. And I was a lot smaller then. Take off running. I catch the truck, get back in it. And I'm like, what do I do now? I slide down all the way, pretty much all the way to the bottom of the hill. Trailer goes into the southbound ditch just a little bit. And I want to say it was Dwayne Dufford talked me through, because my chains were already hanging on my tires. Just back up a little bit through that berm. You'll be up, So I backed up, got my chains, and these poor guys, I want to say it was you, Dwayne, and Phil Crom were there.
I remember Dwayne being there, but I can't. Man, that's a long time ago.
But yeah, these guys, I thought they were, and I was terrified. Like, they're going to think I'm an idiot. They're going to make fun of me. They're going to yell at me. Dwayne and Aaron were, Dwayne especially, he talked me through everything. He, was super nice. You got it? You okay? I'm like, man, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I did learn something. I have never, and I will never get back in a truck when it takes off without me. Matter of fact, I slid a same thing with a sourdough truck on the knob, and I just waved. Bye. Go have fun down there. But yeah, those Western Stars. I had a rough go with my first 2 Western Stars.
There's a lot to learn up there. And I mean, really, if you would have set the brakes, you wouldn't have had that experience. You wouldn't learn from it. But other people can watch that and learn from that. But having set your trailer brakes, probably would have sat there.
Right. And what would you and Dwayne have done that night for entertainment?
I probably would have had to take a nap because I would have got tired.
Yeah, Yep.
It's funny, the things that we learn, though. I mean, that's just, everybody's got a story of something that they learned. And I always try to learn from other people's mistakes. And it's like, but unless you talk about it, you don't really know what what they went through up there, what you went through.
Yeah. And that's something, even as a little kid, I did it, but especially my first 4 or 5 years, I listened, and I hung on every word these old guys had to say. John Hall, Cal Rogers, Howard White. Howard White taught me an incredible amount. Croson brothers, Norman Chuck Croson. I mean, even Mike Nault. All these guys, they've taught me so much. And I mean, I could name names, but I would always inevitably forget somebody.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember Grandpa McAlpine. I did something dumb, and he told Tommy, go on. Tommy McAlpine, he had it off, and Grampsy, he stayed with me, and I was moving a lot slower than him and Tom were, and he lectured me all the way to town. But I remember he taught me a lot that day. And that first 5 years, I just tried to absorb everything, and I still do to this day. Especially when someone, I don't want to say has more experience, but has different experience than I do, that I haven't encountered, and I feel that really honestly, like, if you feel that you know everything and there's nothing left to learn in life, or even what they're doing, whether we're trucking or just living life, the day that you feel that you've got it all figured out is the day you start losing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll be learning till the day I die.
Yep. Yeah, because we've never died before, so it's a new experience.
So, was that with Carlisle that you went with Chuck, or was that just Chuck's? Or Norm? Sorry,
Norman. No, that was North Star. That was when, they had left because Norman, when I first met him, he was a subcontractor to Carlisle, and then he's kind of parted ways, and him and a few other people had kind of started North Star Trucking, and they had got the pipe contract for Conoco. And yeah, that was with North Star. And yeah.
So you were learning the road in the summertime then?
Oh no. It was like October. It was right around my birthday. It was like October. Because I remember Norman. It was kind of a joke, but not really. He had me move into that truck on my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't even know if he realized it was my birthday. And yeah, which was heartbreaking because I love that old 31 truck, that blue and black A model. But we had taken the sleeper off it to lighten it up to side dump, and I needed a sleeper truck to run north with. So
I wonder if there's some pictures of that truck floating around. I used to load pipe on that truck all the time.
Oh, 31?
Yeah, when Chuck was driving it, man, seemed like a big step for him climbing up and in there.
You know, I remember when I was working for Carlisle in the yard. Chuck would come in, you know, because that was when they were still contracted to Carlisle. And Chuck would come in there, and man, I just used to love listening to him and Gordy Henshaw. And those guys, they had so much to say, and I felt like, these guys are freaking geniuses. And they're always funny and nice. But if you messed up, Chuck literally one day, I loaded a load wrong. And Chuck sat there. I couldn't believe it to this day. He sat there. He made me unload that whole load. And he talked me through how to reload it and why to reload it.
This was Conoco pipe, layer by layer?
No, it was an LTL load.
Oh.
And I loaded it passenger side heavy, and it was tail heavy, but Chuck he took the time. It was probably an hour and a half, and we unloaded that load, reloaded it, retied it. He taught me how to tie stuff down right, and he explained to me. And it was funny because I was kind of fearful of Chuck because he's kind of he's just a tough kind of character, you know. But for him, it left me feeling like this guy must have seen some worth in me, you know. That's how it made me feel. When those guys would stop and correct me, but teach me, you know, they would chew me out, but then they would go, "Come on, let's go redo it, and let me explain to you why it's wrong and what we do." And it left you, yeah, you felt like you got a butt chewing, like you knew you did wrong and don't do that again. But for them to take the time to explain to you the whats and whys, it left you with a little bit of pride, like they feel like there's like I'm worth something, like there's some worth there.
Yeah.
Which, not trying to knock, I mean, and I'm guilty as anyone else is. I feel like we've lost that somehow, and I don't know how to get it back. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I want it back. I want what we had when we started up here. I would love to see that again. Make the Dalton great again.
Yeah.
And I mean, those guys, they weren't afraid to chew your butt, but they would also correct you and teach you.
It was for your own good, not just to be a pain.
And I don't know, I always thought I was a tough person, or I wasn't a chicken. I wasn't afraid of much. But those guys, when they started barking and talking, I shut my mouth and listened. And I don't know if it's because at that time and just the way it was, everybody knew everybody. Everybody was extended family. You didn't care who drove for what truck they drove, how pretty or how ugly their truck was. That was that was your brother, your uncle, or not really, but like it was an extended family. Like you took care of each other. You looked out for each other. You know, no one left behind.
Yeah.
So, and they were, I mean, and you know, I respected like all of them, really. They all had something to teach you. Even if it was to teach you how not to do something.
Yeah.
And the sense of community. Yeah. They would harass each other to no end. But at the same time, if there was a problem, they would all stop and try to correct that problem, There was no zooming by another truck with its hood up at 60 miles an hour. It didn't matter if it was a competitor's truck or not. And I am not trying to knock anybody. I want that back. I want that community back.
I remember getting in trouble with Terry Dunn one time, and I didn't even really realize it. I mean, it's taken me quite a few years to figure it out, but I mean, it was my first month or two up there, and he was coming off the north side of the Koyukuk, and he was up there dragging his feet, and I slowed way down because I didn't want to rock him. And man, I met him right down in the bottom. And I mean, I didn't understand at the time, but he got on the radio. And he's like, Aaron, you don't want to do that. That will eat your lunch someday. And it was like, it reminded me of I don't know, just the way he said it. I think I made him very mad, but he was very calm and polite about it. But what he was doing, and I didn't realize it, he was dragging his feet to let me run at that thing and meet him up on the hill. And I slowed down because I was trying to be nice and not rock him. And he didn't want me to go up there and spin out. And that's how you do it. Even though he's going north, he can just kind of drag his feet and let me come up there. And I didn't. In some ways, I wish he would have elaborated a little bit more. But after, you get up there a few trips and you realize what's going on. And it's like, I could have just stepped on it quick and met him up there. And it's like, man, that was a...
I only laugh. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because I did the same thing to Terry on Prospect. Yeah. He goes, well, what did he say? He goes, this learning moment is on me. And he didn't explain it, but he's like, you don't be doing that. He's like, when you see a truck coming off here and you're heading for that hill, get up here.
Yeah.
And that's all he said.
Yep.
And like you say, I didn't really understand it 100%. And it was like a year later I finally went, huh.
Well, I've never forgot it. That is a very vivid memory. I met him right at the bottom, and I did
too. I met him just north of the bridge.
Yeah.
And as soon as you started telling that I can still see his truck sitting, coming off the hill and me meeting him right there.
Well, it's funny. He's trying to be nice and help educate and help me understand, and have some common sense with that. But it's like now I find myself trying to explain that to people, and they don't. It's funny just sitting here thinking about it. I'm getting frustrated because these people don't understand it. But it's like, how long did it take before I figured it out?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's I guess we all need a little bit of grace, but it's. And I was nice about it too, but it's like, man, as frustrated as I've been, it's like, man, I can only imagine how frustrated Terry was with me.
Right.
I'll buy him dinner someday.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the guys are just worried that they're going to do something wrong because they've been chewed out so much. So they're trying to be courteous. But like you said before, if you're being courteous, sometimes that could get you in trouble.
And it's all looking at a situation and seeing what makes the best sense. It's not a hard line. Like there's a gray area. Like there's times where you might be the heavier northbound truck, but it just makes more sense for you to take that 2 minutes and I've done it. Loaded tanker. I'm 114,000 pounds with that 5-axle. Hey, I'm going to sit up here. Oh, no, you're loaded. No, I'm stopped. It's roller coaster. No, I'm stopped. You're halfway down that hill. Just come on.
Yeah.
This is a minute out of my life. Like, I'm fine. I'll fill my coffee cup while I wait for you.
Yeah.
And it's easier on everybody.
Well, it's like, so thinking back on this, Terry was burning his brakes all the way down the hill till he met me. If I would have just raced up there, he could just use his brakes for 10 seconds or whatever it was till I get up there. But
And you
instead,
would've
he's got
saved him time too.
Yeah, it would have saved everybody time. It would have saved him time, me time, and it would have saved him a lot of breaks. And it's like it was just wrong on so many different levels. And I was trying to do the right thing, and I did the exact opposite of what I should have been doing.
Correct. Until someone points it out, you don't know.
But he didn't say anything on the CB, or you didn't say anything, right? There was just kind of no communication at first until after you met at the bottom.
I don't remember. I know we were on. All we had back then, we just had one channel radio. I did Alaska West channels, all we had.
Okay.
And we might have been talking. I don't really remember. I mean, that was 25 years ago.
Because it seems like there needs to be necessary communication on the CB in that instance. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you see another truck over here on top of this hill and you're over here, it's like, well, I can get over here before he gets down to the bottom and I can meet him halfway up. That's probably when you need to be getting on the CB and communicating and be like, hey, I'll run through here real quick, or you run on through the bottom. That way we don't meet in the bottom, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and that is, since like a lot of people over communicate, which then the other half are like, they don't even want to touch their radio.
Yeah. And
like ice cuts become kind of a joke sometimes, that where you're a southbound ice cut and you start to come off of there and you're not, I never roll off there very quick, even if I call it out. And I don't think anyone's down there. Until I can look down that valley, I don't let it loose.
I've seen that hill blocked way too many times, and you can't see it till you're started down there.
Yep, but this trip coming home, I southbound ice cut, and I can't remember who, a truck pulling tanker. Hold on, I'm running. I'm ways, I'm a bit out, but I'm running. And it was nice because I was still up on flat ground, so I just stopped up on. I'm not trying to slide down a little bit. I'm sitting on flat ground, and he was a ways out there, but if I would have dropped off, we would have met where he needed to be running.
Yeah. I remember meeting Tommy McAlpine. I was running for the hill, and I can't remember the instance exactly, but he'd come up through the cut, and he stopped between the cut and the guardrail, and I think he was on the Alaska West channel, but he was like, oh, I got one coming. So he waited right there. He waited about 10, 15 seconds, if that, and then I was up there and away they went. But yeah, you stop up there, and then he can run through there and not worry about meeting me in the bottom.
Or if you meet somebody at top and you communicate, hey, there's one behind me. I've met so many people before where they didn't say nothing.
Right.
And then there's someone behind him. It doesn't take long to say, hey, I got one behind me, or I think I'm by myself.
Right.
And
that's the call out thing. It's a double-edged sword. It's good in instances. I feel there's some people, I'm not trying to knock them, I just don't think they know any better, or they have been taught or learned. And they rely on it too heavily. Like I've watched trucks, sand hills, what I'm going to use, southbound sand hill, and then you see this truck come flying off the hill. Well, here's my problem with call-outs and relying on call-outs, is if a guy's crossed up and trying to get his chains on, he can't answer you.
And the problem with that hill, there's a super in it, so if you do spin out, you might have the whole road plugged up.
Right. And that's one thing Norman drilled into my head. Drive that road to where you're expecting a wrecked truck around every corner. He said, just drive that road to where you can deal with a truck wrecked and blocking the whole road around every corner. Stay in your lane, stay under control. And don't blindly do things, because and I thought about it, and he's like, he's right. Like if, let's say, someone blows an airbag or something happens, they're working on their truck around a corner, and you come hauling butt around there, they're out of that truck and under it. It's a major
Rocks are going to fly.
Well, or you're going to hit it.
That too.
And that's my hugest fear, is to hurt somebody.
Yeah. For anybody that's listening, what is a super on a hill?
Oh, it's a bank in the corner. It's not you're going uphill, but it's leaning, I guess. I don't know the right. It's like NASCAR. I mean, and you don't realize, like Sand Hill or 5 Mile, you get out there and it's like, this is, and when it's slick, man, your truck will slide to the low part of that corner. I mean, it is, and there's times where I've seen guys where they chain up that back axle and they're trying to get going, and every time they slip a little bit, that thing will slide sideways. Off. And it's like, I was up there one time, when I first started up there, I had to set on the back axle, and I was on the top corner of 5 Mile. And by the time I was done, I was clear down on the inside of the corner, almost in the ditch, and it would slip and slide over. And it's like, when you chain up the front axle, you don't have that problem as much.
It's not as prevalent.
Yeah.
For sure.
You want to be on the high side of these corners, too, when you're pulling these hills.
Yeah.
In case you do spin out.
Well, when it's slick or iffy, if you can see good. I mean, 5 Mile, I'll do that. I mean, everybody's going slow through them corners, but I'll stay on the high side of them corners if it's iffy or.
We're not supposed to go through those fast.
I've heard of guys doing that, but there's some of that stuff you just got to learn. But that was an interesting time starting out on the high side of that corner, and by the time you're done, you slid 30 foot sideways or however wide. That corner might be wider than that.
Speaking on high sides of the corner, Todd, when you were riding with your dad, I'm sure you were learning too.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't even realize he was teaching you when he was driving.
As kids, we were just, all of us that were our second and third generations, we were just little sponges sitting over there. And that's I'll tell you, that's a frustration I've had to deal with, is we'll get a new guy or someone who's just fresh up here, and you're like, why can't they figure this? Why is it taking so long? Half of this stuff, I don't even remember learning it. Like, it just feels like it was always there.
Yep.
And it's because we started learning it so young. And I pilot card for a winter or two, too, which really, I feel, gave me a leg up. Because it's a lot easier to learn things in a four-wheel drive pickup than it is in a truck pulling a load of pipe.
Oh, man. I did that once, scared me to death. I don't ever want to run a pilot car again.
Well, I had a job offer for you.
Oh, man.
Well,
I like being in the truck.
There's a lot more metal to protect you.
Oh, man.
I hated blows in a pickup.
I can't imagine.
Oh, it was horrible. Everything's the wrong angle.
What did your dad, really instill in you, or what was the most valuable thing he taught you about driving up there, or just anything in general?
Well, one thing is always leave town like you're going to spend a week in that truck. You keep your cold, whether it's winter or summer, you keep your cold weather gear in that truck. You keep at least a gallon of water with you, minimum. And my dad used to keep 2 milk jugs. They were actually milk jugs, because he was too cheap to buy jugs of water. 2 milk jugs of water in the truck. But water, food for a week, and I've learned to not take preferred food. Because I know you wouldn't believe it, but me plus food equals a deficit. I get bored and but always be prepared to be in that truck, to be stuck in that truck for at least a week.
Yeah.
Always slow down, 30 or lower. And if you do, that's one thing he knocked into me a little bit, was it happens. You screw up, you mess up. You rock somebody, you crowd them, it happens. And if you know you did wrong, apologize. I'm sorry, yep, you're right. I'm bad. My bad. Just acknowledge it. Even just to acknowledge it, and yeah, basic courtesy. Don't.
Yeah, something else you said there too, summer or winter. I don't know why, but it was making me think about the tire chains. I've seen guys take their tire chains off in the summer, and I've seen guys spun out on the pass on July 4th. It's like Todd's done that.
Yes.
Never done that.
Did you do that on purpose?
Sorry, I wasn't there for that one, Todd. I'm glad you raised your hand. I have 2 sets with me all the time, summer and winter.
I was washing the truck, and I don't know why. I pulled the chains off the truck, and I was washing it. I looked at them. I don't need them. Can't remember who I was running with. I was running with someone else, and I was the lead truck. I went up on the pass, burnout, couldn't get going. I backed down, and I thought I'd try it over closer to the edge of the road because there's usually a little more there. No luck. And whoever was behind me, they put their chains on, went up, took their chains off, and I started walking up the hill. And I wasn't far from the top. I was probably 150 feet from the top of the hill.
That's pretty normal. The bottom can be good and the top can be bad.
So they go up, take their chains off, and I walk up, and me and him, it was Cody Cook. And me and him drug a set of his chains back down to my truck, chained it up, went up the hill. Because the north side of the hill was just mud.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we had to use Cody's chains to get both trucks up the hill.
Yeah.
And I knew better. I don't even know why. It'll be fine. I've never had this problem.
Isn't that amazing? You think it'll be fine, and you get up there, and it's a pretty helpless situation when you can't help yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's we had a situation one time on the ice cut, and it must have snowed like a foot, and Tony was behind me in the super truck over there, and I don't know why. It seemed like he had 2 sets, but I had to drag an extra set down to put on that tri-drive to get him going in that soft snow, and then it snowed so much, and then a week later, all that stuff melted, and then it flooded everything down there. It was insane. But even in Cantwell, I've seen it snow in July in Cantwell.
Oh, yeah.
South
Broad
of Fairbanks.
Pass, yeah.
So it's in Alaska, I don't ever take my chains off.
I don't. I did it one time. Never.
I'm glad you did. That makes for good conversation.
10 out of 10, not doing it again. But the ice cut, when it gets really bad, sometimes 2 sets aren't enough. I did that one night. Luckily, there was a gentleman in a big black and orange Freightliner at the top that was kind. I had 2 sets. I burned out with 1 set on, and I was right, almost there. Dwayne could see my headlights. It was actually Dwayne and Troy were sitting up there. Troy Sanders. And Troy was southbound, Dwayne was northbound. And Dwayne, he had just taken his chains off, put them back on, and he backed to as close as he could. Troy had this ridiculously long strap, but I couldn't get going with the second set on. I put the second set on, just could not get it going, and I wasn't going to sit there. I remember Norman, if your truck doesn't lift off, stop turning the tires. Don't dig potato patches. But yeah, that guy, he could say something to me and I would just stuck in my head. But Dwayne goes, I'm going to back down. He goes, no, I'll back up to you. He had to pull me up into the parking lot. But as soon as he put weight, he didn't jerk on it. He just put weight against that toe strap. And it was just enough to get me rolling. But
So 2 sets wasn't enough right there.
that day was not. It was slick. It was like right there at the top of the ice cut, you could see the reflection of your headlights in the ground. It was so slick. You had to hold on to your truck because you're trying to chain it up.
Yeah.
And I knew it was slick because I had put a set of chains on it. I didn't try to run at it. I just put a set on. All right, I'll put a set on and go up the hill. I'll be fine. And it was not enough. 2 sets wasn't enough.
Yeah, we've been there one time. That was I'd heard Dad talk about that before, but putting a set over a set before. I'd always thought that was a story, but we did that a few years ago because of that traction control on that truck, and it's like you have one set on, then throw another one over, and then offset the links a little bit, and it went up the hill.
I heard my dad talk about that, and I thought, oh, well, those old trucks with those SS rear ends, we're so much superior nowadays. Until you've had to do it. You know, I had to do that with a heavy haul truck. I just dragging an empty big lowboy home and Beaverslide could not get up it. And I thought, maybe. So I had a set of chains that were pretty stretched out. Put them on that front axle. Put them on the front axle and just kind of to where the links were staggered of each other. And she went right up the hill and went, huh.
When was the last time you chained up?
The last time I chained up? Oh, you know, I wish Nate would have stuck around. Here a couple weeks ago, it was snowing. It had blown and snowed on the backside of the pass pretty bad. And there was so many learning opportunities in this day. So I put a set of chains on because I knew I was going to need them.
What'd you have for a trailer?
I had a empty Linden quad, and I went up, and there was one little path up. Well, there was 2 guys on the radio. I don't even know what they were talking about. Nothing to do with road conditions. Nothing to do with the hill. So the loader told Nate, go ahead and come on down. The blade told me to go ahead and head up. And the truck, I for some reason, I couldn't. We're talking about the chains on the back axle. That's why I chained up the truck I was in. They looked amazing. They're pretty. But the fenders were so close, it's hard to get a chains on the front axle. Well, back axle will be fine. Complacency. Well, anyways, I get up there and Nate and I get just, and I spun out with a set of chains on looking. I mean, Nate and I were window to window. So, and we're both, front ends in a snowdrift. And so I backed down and as I started to back down, that aluminum trailer takes off to the driver's side or the passenger side, takes off, jams itself into the guardrail. I'm like, I'm done. So I was out there and I'm like, I'll try to get a set of chains. And I'm like, I can't back up. I can't do nothing. Luckily, the loader was right there and he just gave me a little nudge. But yeah,
that's when it was one lane through there, right? Because it was blowing so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that was a whole miscommunication. And I'm not going to call anyone out. Everyone's been guilty of it. But I'm going to. If the hill's bad and there's state equipment on the hill, shut up. Leave that radio alone and shut up. If you need to tell somebody you're coming up or you're coming down, yes. But we don't need to talk about the horsepower our truck has or the chrome widget that we want to buy for our spinners, and just leave, especially if the state equipment is on the hill. Try to leave that CB to them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say it nicer than shut up.
Yeah.
It's tough. You get into a blow or something like that. If it's kind of critical and everybody's really paying attention, you're sitting on the edge of your seat trying to get through there. It's like you need to be everybody needs to be on task and paying
Yes,
attention
sir.
to their.
I'm terrible. So I liked big radio. I'll BS, especially if I'm tired and I'm running with someone that's fun. I'll BS on the big radio and just chit chat. But I get in a blow, and I've literally caught myself, and it's ridiculous. But I've caught myself because someone just keeps, I think it's nervousness talking. And I'll be like, shut up, I'm trying to see where I'm going. It's like turning the radio down, trying to find the street you need to turn on.
Yep.
Or how about you ever tried to turn your wife up with the radio and then you turn the music up?
Yeah.
Or turn it down? I've been guilty of that.
I've never tried that.
I've never turned my wife down.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
On that note, do you have anything else to add?
I think we're good.
Well, Todd, you got anything?
Not that I can think of.
You got anybody back home you want to say hi to? Or
Hi, Mom. So, you ever been into Bettles?
No.
No? That's one of the coolest and most frightening trucking experiences I've had. There's probably only a handful of guys that have went back in there. But, yeah, you turn, you know where Prospect is right there. There's a little wide spot.
Yep.
Well, right there to the west of the road is that little driveway. And you just point her across country and let her buck. You jump across the Jim River, go up a hill, you go up a couple good grades. And it's a 2-set minimum ordeal. Sometimes you have to throw a drag because there's a place called Gordon's Gulch, which is a frozen waterfall, which mostly has, sometimes you have to go out there with a chainsaw and cut channels in it. So it'll kind of, you can get in and out of it. And then you got a little place called Sourdough Creek, which likes to break through. And so you'll have this hole that's like 2 feet. There's just a 2-foot hole that you kind of bounce across with the truck. And then right before you come into the town of Bettles, you cross the Koyukuk River, which the Koyukuk's usually pretty good when it's not, unless it's not. But Gordon's Gulch, it's, like I say, it's a waterfall. So you kind of, once you come off of it, you don't, because it's got a super, and you kind of just let the truck go. And it's, yeah. I took some 16 wide fuel tanks in there a number of years back for the city of Bettles and the tribal council Evansville. Their tank farm for the community. And I thought I was going over. I really did, because I come off of there, and I had a drag chain on the trailer, but I come off of there, and it started going sideways, and then it bounced, and when it bounced, I could see air underneath my passenger side trailer tire, and that big 15 wide tank going like that, and I stabbed the throttle, and she pulled back out of it, but the only thing I could think of is I'm like, I don't know, 20, 30 miles away from the Dalton Highway. Who's going to come help me? Like, I mean, I know Kevin Lowry is amazing, but it would take him forever. And I don't even know what you could do, you know? I mean, he can do a lot.
I wonder if he would go out there.
I'm sure he would. I mean, he is the tow god. When are you going to have him on here?
I don't know. That's to be seen.
I mean, I don't think it would be complete without.
Well, you know he gets pretty shy.
He does. He's sensitive.
I don't know Kevin very well, but
I love Kevin to death. He's a character. I've been trying to drum business up for him lately. I found 2 trucks, one off the road, the other one standing next to it, and I pull up beside him, and I'm like, hey, you guys can't park here. And they go, hey, we need a tow truck. And I go, oh, I got you. And because there's been just a lot of weird incidents of trucks for no reason driving straight off the road. And I think it has to do with these things right here.
Yeah.
I really blame it on cell phones. A lot of problems with cell phones and monkeying with e-logs. And this guy's, I forgot to do that.
And then you look away for 1 second, and the next thing you know,
right,
you're in the ditch.
But anyways, I go, I got you. And they were excited. I think they thought I was going to and I had a hot shot load that I had no weight anywhere. I can barely, keep out of my own way. And I wasn't pulling nothing. So I reached over into my cup holder or my ashtray, pulled out one of Kevin's business cards and handed to the guy.
Do you have your promo code on there? So when you hand it to him, that way you can get your cut of that, but doesn't it say the Power Hour on that card?
It does. It says the Power Hour. Yep.
And this has been the Power Hour.
Unless
with Todd Powers, ladies and gentlemen.
Unless I'm running with B flowers.
Oh, then what is it?
Flower Power.
Flower Power. Sounds like a name Lonnie would come up with.
Well, I think Lonnie was telling me about his band.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it?
You haven't heard of it?
No.
B Flowers and the Tennessee Truckers.
Ooh.
Their new hit single, Shoot Yeah.
Shoot Yeah.
Didn't they have another single too?
I'm not sure.
Something, what was it? Dalton Desire, My Peterbilt's on Fire?
Well, that was Lonnie's request.
Oh, that's right.
That's Lonnie's favorite request.
Well, Todd, thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time. Until next time, and come back and bring Norm with you, or bring some of these older guys with you.
Norman, Corey, Chuck.
That's right.
I will. We'll just have a reoccurring Power Hour.